Hi, you guys. Welcome back to Racket City Yardstead. Happy December, happy holidays. I think it's time for some holiday baking, don't you? So today we're going to make one of my favorite cookies that I like to make for Christmas. It is a slice and bake orange cranberry shortbread cookie. So the first thing I need to do in order to make this cookie is I actually need to mix up some baking powder, and we are going to do that in this little jar here. And all we need for this is some baking soda, some cream of tartar, and tapioca or arrowroot powder. If you do fine with corn, you can do cornstarch as well. But the first thing I need to do here, I'm going to mix up a bigger batch because it's the holidays and I will probably need some more of this. So the first thing I need to do is measure out my arrowroot. I actually think I have tapioca today, but I use tapioca and arrowroot pretty interchangeably. So it's 1 part of your starch and 1 part baking soda to 2 parts cream of tartar. So I'm just going to see how much I have. I have more cream of tartar if I need it. 3, 4. That 4th one was a little low. We'll add just a little extra. So since I have 4 tablespoons of starch, I am going to need 8 tablespoons of my cream of tartar. There is a good chance I'm going to have to go grab a new container, and that's fine. So there's our 8 tablespoons of cream of tartar, and then we need 4 of baking soda. If you don't know, cream of tartar is acidic, and so that is really the thing that makes it baking powder. Or I do think this is going to mix up better if I switch it into a bigger jar so I have more room for mixing it together. We're just going to dump all of this into this wide mouth jar here. Give us room to shake it all up. Get it all good and incorporated. Yeah, so the cream of tartar is the thing that really makes it baking powder as opposed to just baking soda, is adding that acidic element that helps with rise. So a lot of times baking powder is called for in things where you don't have a different acid. Now that we have our baking powder all mixed up, we need to cream together our butter and powdered sugar. So it calls for a cup of butter. I've got 2 softened sticks in here, and then 3/4 cups of powdered sugar. If you're like me, use the organic powdered sugar and it will be corn-free. I've never seen organic powdered sugar that used cornstarch. It always uses arrowroot or tapioca. And this stuff, I can't remember where I got this, but it is organic tapioca starch in this version. So we'll just get this creaming together. Clean up a little bit. And while that's creaming, we can get our dry ingredients all mixed together. So we need 2 cups of flour. I am using Bob's Red Mill gluten-free 1-to-1 baking flour. I've had really good luck with this flour in cookie, cake type recipes. I can't speak to trying to make bread or something like that with it, but for anything that's a quick rising thing, bakes in a short amount of time, I've never had a problem. Trying to make sure it's nice and light in my measuring cup so we don't end up with too much. So we have 1 cup. I'm going to give the sides a scrape on our cookies and Make sure all that butter and sugar gets well incorporated. Okay. Now we can measure our second cup of flour. Ooh, got a little bit too much. That's okay. Just scrape it back off into our bag. I never really thought about it until right now, but it would be a lot easier if I got a canister for my gluten-free flour instead of trying to measure it out of the bag. Okay, so we have that. Now we need a 1/4 teaspoon of the baking powder we mixed up. A 1/2 teaspoon of salt. We are going to add our vanilla now. It calls for 2 teaspoons. I'm just going to eyeball that and let that mix in. So the next thing we need to do is grate the zest off of an orange if we want them to be orange cranberry cookies. So I'm actually just going to grate this straight into my dry ingredients. The recipe I'm using is just for a plain shortbread. They actually have a few suggestions for different things you can do with them, and I will share that in the description box. Oops, you do not want that in there. But I just add orange zest and dry cranberries to it, and it's really lovely. So we'll add all the zest we can get off of this one orange, and then we'll add about 1/2 cup of cranberries that we'll chop up. I'm always nervous about getting into the pithy part that doesn't taste very good. Just do the best we can. It smells so good, all of those citrus oils coming out of this orange. All right. Get all that zest and oil off of here and into our ingredients. I am gonna just stir that in here. Try not to make too big of a mess. Why I should be wearing an apron, right, guys? And then, now that we've got our dry ingredients and our orange zest all added in, we are going to slowly add our flour in. We're just going to do about 1/2, get it mixed in, and then add another 1/2. The last thing we need to do here is chop up our cranberries. You could probably leave them whole out of the bag, but I like the pieces a little bit smaller, so I just kind of rough chop them here. I did end up with, how much? This is about 1/2 cup of cranberries. So if you like more cranberries, I'm sure you could add that. So I'm just gonna put these into our dough here and let them get all mixed in. Our cranberries are mixed in, easy as that. Now that our dough is all mixed up, we're gonna scrape it out onto this parchment paper and roll it into a log. The recipe as written actually calls for making it into 2 logs, but this was the end of my parchment paper. So we're gonna see if we can do it just in one. And if it doesn't work, I'll try, like cling film. That would probably work. This smells wonderful. But I think this should work just fine. This dough as it is right now is very soft. So it definitely has to chill before it'll be ready for slicing and baking. Off our spoon. I think I'm gonna see. It's definitely more difficult to work with in the larger amount. I wonder if that's part of why they have you cut it into multiples. I normally just follow directions, but since I don't have an extra piece of parchment paper, we're gonna try this. But I wonder if the 2 logs is just about handleability. Spread it out. Yeah, I think I am gonna get some shrink wrap. Shrink wrap, that's not the right word. Cling film. I don't know about you guys. I don't love cling film because it's so clingy and I feel like I end up wasting a lot of it. So, see what we can do. I love these cookies. I find the shaping them kind of difficult personally, but it's worth it. You know, that actually works pretty good. And these are homemade cookies. They don't have to look perfect. In fact, sometimes I think the more perfect it looks, the more it looks like you bought it from a store anyway. So they're a little bit messy, but they're made with love, right? I think this one is ready to officially just wrap up and go in the fridge. One down, one to go. The way that worked with the cling film, I almost wonder if that's the better way to go. I've always done it with parchment paper, but I actually think that might have been a little bit easier. I do try and like to get my ends good and even here. And I think this one's ready now too. So I'm just gonna roll it up, get the ends folded over, And these are ready for the fridge. Now I am going to stick one of these in the freezer because like I said at the beginning, I am going to freeze these so that next week all I have to do is slice and bake. But I think we're going to take this one and pop it in the fridge. It needs to chill for about 4 hours, and then we'll cut off a couple cookies so we can bake them and try them. I do want to show you guys though how pretty the dough is. You can see those little cranberry specks in there. Maybe it's kind of hard to see. There we go. So you can see those cranberry specks in there. And these are beautiful cookies once they're baked. Good morning, you guys. I did not get back to the cookies last night. So they chilled overnight. And now we have this nice, really firm shortbread cookie log. So I am just gonna unroll this here on my cookie sheet. We're just gonna slice off a few pieces. We want these pretty thin, about 1/4 of an inch, but you can see those beautiful cranberry pieces in it. They smell wonderful. Sometimes it does come apart a little bit when I slice them, but I just pinch them back together. All is right. So I think we're just going to do 4 of these, a couple cookies each for me and my mom. Here we go, our 4 cookies. These are going to go in the oven at 350 for like 12 to 15 minutes. We're just looking for the edges to get a little golden brown, and then we'll let them cool and we'll give them a try. They have these nice golden edges on them. We're going to pull them out and let them cool. So here's one of our cookies, guys. It's all nice and golden on the edge. The bottom is nice and golden. They're beautiful with their little cranberry bits in them. So let's snap one of these. They're nice and snappy like a shortbread should be. So good. That vanilla, that orange zest, the cranberries, it all just comes through so beautifully in these cookies. I love the texture of them. If you're looking for a good cookie for Christmas, this is a great option. So thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I hope you're having a wonderful Christmas and holiday season, and I'll see you next time. Bye.